You're okay. Hey, Walter, can you come here? Come here, Wally. No, 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 don't go away. Don't go away. Ugh. And has lived. You're fine. Can you say hello? Hey, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. Can you say hello? Walter is enjoying his afternoon nap. Today we are making another English Bulldog video. I've had lots of requests. Everybody loves Walter. So this video is for Life of Laura-Lee lovers and English Bulldog lovers all around, and especially Walter's fans. No, stay here, buddy. Stay here. So I've had so many questions about Walter, about some of the grooming things, about his eating, even about his breed, a lot of things. And I did a video previously to address some of these questions, but I thought I would do it again in the form of more of Q&A. And I picked the most highly asked questions. Some of these are ones that I've talked about. So if you're new here, then these are all the answers that I can tell you to the best of my knowledge as being a English Bulldog owner. I'm no expert, but we have gone through a lot with Walter. He is 3 years old. Yes, 3 years old. Is he 3 years old? We got him, yeah, in 2015. He's 3 years old. And he has had 2 cherry eye surgeries. He's had bronchitis. He had a luxating patella, which his kneecap pops out. He has had, what else have you had? He is probably the most mischievous dog that I have ever met. Walter has eaten a Tide Pod, and he's lived. He ate a bag of coffee, and he's lived. He has eaten a bag of Easter eggs and has lived. He has eaten a whole bag of peanut M&Ms, and again, he has lived. He just is like the most mischievous dog. I came in the other day from grabbing something from the car, and he had taken my backpack and tried to open it because he could smell food. Like he just is so, he gets into everything. You know, we're talking about you, huh? But he is the most cuddly and sweetest and most, just like the most enjoyable dog. He's got such a big personality. As you can see, he's got so much energy and so much life, and like he just, I don't know, I just love him so much. We have dealt with a lot with Walter. We love him to death, and he is worth it. But we've gone through a lot. All that to say, I'm not an expert. The only thing that I can speak from is my experience. So I'm giving you my advice from our years of raising Walter and trying to keep him alive. Oh, the other day, this is just a side note. The other day I came home, and Walter, we recently realized that he's learned to jump up and get stuff off the counter, and that is kind of where he's gotten into things. That he ate an entire loaf of bread, and I kid you, like 10 minutes. Like he ate an entire loaf of seeded bread. How he got into the Tide Pod, I'll really quickly address that. I don't just leave them out. I had gotten groceries, and I had just taken everything out of the bag, and I had put the Tide Pod bag on top of the counter, and that's when we realized he can jump up there. They were not for him to reach. Well, now we know. So my first question was, how old is Walter? He is 3. I've mentioned that. A lot of you want to know, but he is 3 years old. This year in May he was 3. Number 2, is he a purebred? Yes. We are in the midst of finding his documentation, which we do have. A lot of people say he is an old English Bulldog. I get that he looks like it, but that is not what his papers say. If you see pictures of Walter's brothers and sisters, even his mom and dad, they look like 100% English Bulldog. Walter is small for a reason. As I said, he has a luxating patella, which means that in his back leg, his kneecap pops in and out. And when we first moved to Canada, Walter was about 20 pounds, 20 to 30, no, 20, 25 pounds heavier than he is now. And every time he would get up, he was in so much pain. He would limp so terribly. Are you dreaming? You could just see he had a very tough time. It was really hard to watch this dog who was only a year old have a lot of like leg issues. And it's just no way for a dog to live. We looked into getting surgery, and we even scheduled a surgery date. And the surgeon said that in preparation for the surgery, he needed to lose weight for recovery to help with the injury. And so under the guidance of the surgeon, he lost weight. We then did a follow-up appointment, and Walter had no issues. The luxating patella actually never happened. His kneecap stayed in place. And so at that point, we kept him at that same weight, and we have had no issues. Walter he does get up, like he is stiff. You can see there is a little bit of an issue, but when he is overweight, he can barely walk. And I know a lot of people give us flack. They say he's too thin, he's too skinny, and I have to disagree. I think that it is just inhumane to watch him be overweight and in pain. I think that that's terrible. He is happy. He is extremely healthy. Every time we see the vet, we've seen multiple vets, and they always say that this is what he should look like. This is the perfect amount of fat to muscle to skin ratio. Like, he is what this dog should look like. Just because we see English Bulldogs that are really fat and overweight doesn't mean yours has to be. Now, I'm not knocking anyone that has a big roly-poly English Bulldog. I wished he was roly-poly because that's what I wanted, a really big chunky Bulldog. And instead I get this little tiny half like boxer looking dog, but I mean, I love him to death. But he is not underfed. We are under the careful and watchful eye of a veterinarian, under a surgeon. Like, I get that everybody has their own experiences, but just trust us when we say that he is like perfectly fine. So that whole rant to say he is a purebred, he is an English Bulldog, he's just really small. What food does Walter eat? A lot of people ask. We feed him Royal Canin for English Bulldogs. This leads me to number 4, which I already touched on. Is Walter underfed? No, Walter is not underfed. He is getting the perfect amount of food. I'm not going to tell you exactly what he gets because everyone's going to have their opinion, but he is getting exactly what he needs. The amount was told to us by our vet. You're so loud. And Walter gets regular checkups, so we are very aware of his health and his standing and what he needs and what he doesn't need. So he is not underfed. No, don't go away. Don't go away. Ugh. Shh, you're fine. How often do you bathe Walter? We bathe Walter about once a month. And that's either we take him in to get groomed, or I will bathe him myself because he's so small I can lift him in and out of the bathtub. Barely. He's like just a little bit too heavy, so I can do it, but sometimes I need Andrew to help me. And I just use like a really gentle shampoo that also has a conditioner in it because their skin is very sensitive, and he can get really itchy, so I don't want to be putting on too much stuff on his skin, so I try to use something that just has both, and that's very moisturizing. Does Walter shed? Yes, Walter sheds so much, like so much. English Bulldogs shed a ton. It's just really short hair, which is sometimes almost worse. Like, it just gets everywhere. How do we take care of his face? So I have a video on this, but we use something called, I have it here. We use these two products together. We use the Squishy Face wrinkle paste. This stuff is amazing, and this gets right in the little tear duct that gets so black and dirty, and we've seen so much, like, it's just so much better than it used to be. It used to be so dark and stinky, and this really, I find, helps with the smell, and also helps like just lighten it up and take away any just like irritation for him. I think it really probably feels really good. And then we put it under his fold over the nose, as well as the snout, this snout butter, which is amazing. It's all natural. Basically, as soon as I put it on his nose, he like licks it right off. He thinks it's a treat. But that's also what we use. And then I just take a fiber cloth, and I just do warm water, and I really get in there, because I find that the fiber cloth is really gentle on his nose, as well as it doesn't leave a ton of moisture behind. Whereas I sometimes find a washcloth is too harsh, and it's not super absorbent. And so that's what I find works for me, and I just kind of wash his whole face. And that's kind of how we, you know, deal with his face smell. And the last question was, what insurance do you have for Walter? We have insurance through a company called Happy Paws. I will link them down below. They are fabulous. We have great coverage with them. They were going to cover Walter's leg surgery, well, majority of the price. We didn't end up having to go through with it, but just having the peace of mind knowing that they were going to cover the majority of the expense was obviously like amazing, because dogs aren't cheap, and surgeries in general are not cheap. And even though we live in Canada, we don't have universal health care for dogs. We have to pay for that. So having the peace of mind that knowing that if something goes wrong, we are covered, just makes me feel so much better. He has costed us quite a bit of money, but he is worth it, and the only reason why it hasn't been stressful is because I know that they're covering the majority of it. I would never ever have a dog without having dog insurance, and I'm so thankful to the Lord that we listened to wise counsel and did it, because a lot of people said, no, don't even worry about it. But I say all this because he is so worth it. I mean, look at this. If you want a dog that will sit in your lap like a baby and just cuddle you and go to sleep, like, this is it. Don't get me wrong, he is so hyper too, but he is also just like the sweetest dog in the world, and he's so loving. I don't know, I just couldn't imagine life without him. He really is like my best friend, and we got him for me when we lived in Kansas City. And so we've gone on many journeys together. I couldn't imagine life without him. I hope that this video is helpful. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching, for the love and support that you give to both Walter and I. I love it. I love seeing your comments. I know everyone wants to see him more, so I try to make, you know, he tries to make an appearance in a lot of my videos. But again, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I will see you again for another one. Bye. Say bye. Bye.